Okay, muchacho, cuarto grado. So you have this packet. We have to do this packet throughout the whole week, and this packet has nothing new. Everything that it's in here, it's what we've been working for the past 2 weeks. Okay, so yo voy a hacer un ejemplo de cada uno, de cada página, so that you remember what you have to do. So let's start with the first page. The first page is really simple. You just have to compare fractions that have the same denominator. So every time we talk about compare, remember that we have to use greater than, less than, or equal to. So we're going to be given two fractions and we have to say which one is bigger or smaller. In this case, the fractions have the same denominator. For example, we're going to compare 510 to 910. So when you have fractions of the same denominator, what that means is that you're only compare how many parts are there, because they're all the same. So you only have to compare the numerator. So it's easy. You just look at the 5, look at the 9, and say which one is bigger. Well, the 9 is bigger, so 5 over 10 it's less than 9 over 10. Or 9 over 10 is greater than 5 over 10. Okay? So remember, when we have fractions of like denominators or same denominator, the only thing that we have to compare is the numerator. Okay? Which one is bigger and which one is smaller. Okay, that's the first page. Let's go to the second page. The second page, you're going to be given a line number and you have to find fractions. So you're going to be given a line number, and all the fractions that you're given are between 0 and 1, which means there are no improper fractions. So for example, if you're looking for 4 over 10, 4 tenths, well, the first thing that you have to check is that between 0 and 1 there are 10 equal equal parts. So I'm gonna try to do them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so the 1 is not gonna be here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On the 10 one is gonna be the 1. Okay, so first of all, you look at this 10 and you say, oh, so if the denominator is 10, then there has to be 10 equal parts. So let's see if it's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That means that each point is 1/10. So this is 1/10, and this is another 10th, so it makes it 2 out of 10. This is another 10th, 3 out of 10, and this is another 10th, 4 out of 10. So this is the spot that we're looking for, because this is the fraction that we were given, 4 out of 10. Okay, so that's all that you have to do. Now be careful, because if it tells you to find, for example, 3/5, and it gives you this very same line number with 10 equal spaces, you can still do it. All you have to do is find 5 equal parts in here. And the way we do that is, because we're looking for 5 equal parts, so we go, okay, so from here to here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So using the same lines, I can find 5 equal parts. So now this point here is 1/5. This point here is 2/5. This point here is 3/5. And this point here is 4/5. And then 1 would be 5/5, which is equal to 1. And remember that this here is 0 over 5, which is 0. Okay, so 3 over 5 would be this point right here. Okay, so that's what you're doing on the second page. Third page is basically the same thing, but reverse. You're gonna be given a line number with a marking, and you have to tell which fraction that is. Well, let's do the number line here. you have a number line, and let's say that you have, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say this is I'm sorry, not 8. Let's say this is 0. This is 1. This is 0 and this is 1. And let's say that you have a dot right here, and you're being asked what is this fraction? Well, the first thing you have to do is that you have to count the parts, because you have to figure out how many equal parts are there. So you go, okay, from 0 to 1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. In this case, all of those points are going to have a denominator of 8, because there are 8 equal parts. So you can do this. You can do this. And then you begin, well, this is 1/8. This is 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8, which is 1. And look at the 1 here. So the point that I was looking for was 6/8. Okay, that's it. That's all you have to do on the third page. Okay, so let's go to the next page. On the next page, we're still trying to find fractions on a number line, but these are mixed numbers. So here, what you have to notice is that on the number line, for example, I'm going to do the first one. It starts with 3, then it has a line here, and it has a 4, and it has a line here, and it has a 5, a line here, and it has a 6, a line here, and it has a 7, a line here, and it has an 8, and it goes on to number 9. But I'm gonna do the first one, which has a point right here, right? And they're asking you, and that one is C. So underneath that you have A, B, C, and D. So you have to find each one of those letters, and the C just happens to be right here. So these are mixed numbers. So as you can see, the number line doesn't go from 0 to 1. It goes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means that you have more holes, because this 3 is already a whole. So that means that this fraction starts with 3. That's the whole. But it has a fraction attached to it because it is a mixed number. And mixed numbers are fractions, are wholes with fractions. So if you only have one line in between the 3 and the 4, that means that you have 1, 2 equal parts. So this point here would be 1/2. Una de dos, y aquí 2 de 2, para hacer el entero completo. Okay? So here C is 3 and 1/2. Let's do the other one. There's another dot on, well, that's easy. The other dot is right here for D, which would be 4, and 1/2. Okay, so you just have to count the parts, and the whole number that is previous or before the point that you're looking, that's the whole. And then you have to find the fraction. We did this last week, okay? And then the next page, it's the same thing, but the difference is that they are giving you now the part, the mixed number. They're giving it to you, and you have to go ahead and write a dot on the number line whenever you think it is. Again, count the denominator. The denominator has to be the same as the equal parts, okay? So count the equal parts. Okay, next, I don't have it here, but I think that the next part was changing mixed numbers to improper fractions, and then improper fractions to mixed numbers. We've done this a lot of times. So for example, let's do one quick. I'm gonna change 5 and 3/4. That's a mixed number, right? And we want the improper fraction. improper fraction. So the steps are the denominator times the whole. 4 times 5 is 20. And now that 20, we add it to the 3. And that's 23. So the improper fraction is going to be 23 over 4 because the denominator stays the same. So 5 and 3/4 or 3/4 equals 23 over 4. This is the improper fraction. This is how we change from mixed numbers to improper fractions. Denominator times whole, and to the result you add the numerator. Okay, 23 over 4. Good. Now let's 23 over 4. Let's go backwards. Let's change from improper fraction to mixed number. So 23 over 4. We start with an improper fraction. And how do we know this is an improper fraction? Because the numerator is bigger or greater than the denominator. It's like the denominator can't hold him. Remember when we said that joke? And we have to turn it into a mixed number. So the steps here are, if you need to change an improper fraction to a mixed number, the steps are, first, you ask yourself, how many times can I fit 4 inside 23? Well, if you know your facts, it's easy to do. But if you don't know your facts, start counting. How many times can I put 4 inside 23? Well, let's start here. 4 plus 4, that's 2 times, that's 8. Plus 4, 3 times, that's 12. Plus 4, 4 times, that's 16. Plus 4, 5 times, that's 20. Plus 4, if I add this other plus 4, it goes to 24. And I can't be over 23, so this one doesn't go. So how many times could I fit 4 inside 23? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That 5 is going to be my whole number. And so this, once I have that 5, I say, well, this equals 20. 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 is the same as 4 times 5, which is 20. And how much more do I need to go from 20 to 23? Well, I need 3 more. So that 3 is my numerator, and then the denominator stays the same, 3/4. And that's how we started the previous example. 5 and 3/4 equals 23 quarters. Okay, now we changed from improper fraction to mixed fraction. And remember, guys, the whole point about knowing how to do all of this is to be able to compare fractions. Because if we're given, for example, 23/4, compare it to 5 and 3/4, if we're given this on a question, we cannot compare this to this, because they're not the same type of fraction. This is an improper fraction and this is a mixed number. Okay, so we have to change either this one to a mixed number, or this one to an improper fraction to be able to compare them. Now, if we change either one, we're going to find out, as we did just now, that they are equal. Okay, but remember, you cannot compare an improper fraction to a mixed number without turning one of them into the other, so that you can compare two things that are the same. Okay, so I think that's the next two short parts, and with that explanation you also do the last page, which are word problems for turning improper fractions into mixed numbers. Finally, the last page, it's comparing fractions, but some of them have unlike denominators. I'm going to do the first one. For example, the first one is comparing 1/4 to 1/8. Well, we learned 4 different ways to do this. You could do it with the tiles. If you have the tiles, or if you want to use the tiles, you could do it with the tiles. But remember, we used benchmark fractions. So with benchmark fractions, you draw two number lines. They have to be exactly the same. The first one we put 0 to 1, and the next one we put 0 to 1. You can do this anytime with any fractions, but they have to be, the two number lines have to be exactly the same, and the zeros have to be in the exact same place, and the ones have to be in the exact same place. So here you're gonna draw 1/4, and here you're gonna represent 1/8. So if you're drawing 1/4, or if you're representing 1/4, you need 4 equal parts. Okay, so because it's 4 equal parts, we already know that if I split this in two, we have 2 equal parts, and if I split this one in two and this one in two, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 equal parts. So 1/4 would be here. This is 1/4. Now the next one, 1/8, I know that I need 8 equal parts. So I start doing the same. I have 4, but now I'm gonna split this into 2, 2, 2, and 2. And let's see how many parts do I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I can draw 1/8 right here. And here I can see that 1/4 is bigger than 1/8. So 1/4 is bigger than 1/8. So you could do it like this with benchmark fractions, but if you're gonna do it like this, you have to draw the two lines exactly the same. And when you're doing the parts, like I did here, the parts have to be about the same size. You cannot do a number line, and we talked about this. You cannot do a number line and say this is 0, this is 1, and then this is 1 part, 2 part, 3 parts, 4 parts, 5 parts. You cannot do that. They have to be exactly the same. Okay, the only way the other way that we can do this is with common denominator. And we also learned that, for example, we realize that 4 is exactly the half of 8. And we say, oh, wait, if 4 is exactly exactly half of 8, I can use common denominator. Okay, so for example, we say for using common denominator, what we have to do is, well, you know what? Just use benchmark fractions. Don't use common denominator. Draw the number lines and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. We'll review the common denominator method in the classroom, but for now, just use the benchmark fractions or use the tiles. Okay, and that's it, guys. The last page, as I said, are word problems, and those are with turning improper fractions into mixed fractions, into mixed numbers. So that's it. That's your packet. You're not gonna do it all today, so start doing the first pages until the time runs out, and then when I go back tomorrow to the classroom, we can continue. Okay, see you tomorrow.